Welcome to the Joy School Podcast. Real talk about what it takes to create your happiest, healthiest, and most dynamic life. And now, here's your host, transformational life coach, happiness strategist, and best-selling author, Kristi Ling Spencer.
Well, hello, my amazing friends. Are you ready for some real talk? Welcome back to the show. We are going to have some real talk and some hard truths today about taking personal responsibility for your happiness and your life. But I promise you, this is going to be some good stuff that's really going to get your gears turning and hopefully light a fire for you to take some of your power back in your life, right? We have all given away our power at different times. I can think of a lot of times in my life when I've done that. And there's no better feeling in the world than taking back your power and taking the driver's seat and taking personal responsibility for your life and your happiness. So that's our topic today. But before we get to that, I wanted to share some thoughts on not counting yourself out. So I was thinking about this quite a bit recently. I might do this as a whole podcast episode in the future because I think it's such an important topic. But here's an example. So when I was younger, I wouldn't bother to enter contests, right? Or even buy a lottery ticket because I always just thought, oh, the odds are against me. Why bother? Why put my energy there when I don't even really have a chance to win? And I passed up on so many opportunities. And, I'll tell you one story. When I was volunteering with a group of girls when I was in high school, we were part of a group that volunteered for a lot of local community things and did a lot of work in our local hometown. And there was a local travel company that did a contest for all the girls and said, we're going to give away a cruise to the girl that we pick that has done the most community service and given back the most to the community. Well, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, there's all these other girls that have done so much more than I did and that I have. And so I'm not even going to bother to fill out the application because I looked at the application and you had to list all your community service work and all your volunteer work and your extra activities and everything you'd done. And yes, I had done a lot and I had volunteered quite a bit and done a lot for my community, but I was comparing myself to the other girls, right? And what they had done. And so I didn't bother. Well, a couple of weeks later, they announced that nobody had entered. Not one of the girls bothered to fill out the application and submit it to win this cruise. And I thought to myself, wow, it was such a big lesson because I thought, I wonder if they all had the same thoughts that I had and completely counted themselves out, right? And looking back, all I would have had to do was just fill out a few things on that application and submit it, and I would have been the winner of a cruise. And so I've always remembered that as a powerful lesson in my life to not count myself out and to not compare myself to others, right? And also to give myself credit for what I have done and things I have accomplished, because ultimately in that moment, I was not giving myself enough credit. Now, of course, I was very young, but that was a hard lesson to learn, but also an awesome lesson to learn. And ever since then, I've enjoyed entering contests. And yes, there have been a few other times in my life when I've made the mistake of counting myself out, and then I would have a little FOMO when they announce winners of things or whatever it might be. And the last few years, I've really tried to be very mindful about if I'm excited about something that's a contest or a giveaway or whatever it might be, submitting myself for something, I don't count myself out. I try to blind myself to what other people might be saying and doing and really just focus on my own value. And that's really all we have control over, right? And that does sort of tie in with today's podcast episode topic, and that is taking personal responsibility for your life, right? So another example is recently, and this is the opposite of the first story that I shared, but I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but pretty recently I entered a contest to win a trip to Cozumel, an all-inclusive. It was for 2 nights at this resort in Cozumel that I absolutely love. And they had a contest, and it was a photo contest. And part of my tricky brain when I first read about it was like, oh, you won't win that. You just have your iPhone, you probably won't be able to take that great of a picture to win a photo contest, right? My brain wanted to go to all these negative places, but I took control over it. And I remembered that story from when I was much younger. And I thought, no, you know what? You're pretty good at taking pictures. And why not just try just for the fun of it, right? Just enter. And, it really comes down to, I remember my dad saying to me once about buying a lottery ticket, well, you can't win if you don't play. And that is so true. And so I entered that photo contest and I won. And I won 2 nights at this all-inclusive resort. And I think we're going to extend the trip and actually go for longer than just a weekend and go for maybe 4 nights. But it was another great reminder that to not count yourself out, to enter something when you're excited about it, right? To go for it. All that can happen is you don't win or you lose or you don't get chosen, right? And then you move onward and upward. But you can't win if you don't play. So don't count yourself out. Apply for that job. Go for that contest. Buy that lottery ticket if you're into that, right? Do what makes you excited. Follow your gut. Don't count yourself out. And when your brain starts to spin those crazy thoughts that aren't true to count you out, take a step to say, nope, chill out. I'm actually going to give myself credit where credit's due, and I'm going to go for this opportunity, right? All right. So that was just something I've been thinking about lately that I wanted to share, and the experience of winning that trip, which we are just getting ready to book. I was talking about it with my husband this morning, which is one of the reasons it was on my mind. It just brought lessons, right? And reminders. So don't count yourself out. You deserve so much credit and you've done so many great things in your life. And the truth is sometimes we forget about the good things we've accomplished and done, right? That we deserve credit for. So take some time to think about that and even journal about it and enter those contests, right? On Instagram or whatever it is, or apply for that job, start that podcast, create that product, write that book. Don't count yourself out. All right, with that, let's get to today's topic. So as I mentioned, today's going to be some real talk. And, we're always real talk on this show, but there's some hard truths in here today, but they're so powerful. So if you are looking to other people, to external situations, to external circumstances to make you happy or successful or anything else in your life, you are outsourcing your happiness and giving away your power. Now, I'm all for outsourcing things like I love to have somebody else wash my car. I don't necessarily love to do that. So that's something I outsource. But your own happiness is not something you want to or even can outsource. And this goes for other things in your life too, your success, your physical health, and the shape that you're in, right? You can't outsource those things. We have to take personal responsibility. And so many times, and I used to do this in my life, we try to outsource our happiness, right? We try to rely on other people or circumstances or things to make us happy, when really we are the ones responsible for that. And it's actually not fair to put that on anybody else or any external situation. It's not fair to those people. It's not fair to that circumstance. And it's definitely not fair to ourselves. And so many people try without even realizing it to put it out onto other people or to outsource their happiness. And by doing that, they give away their power. And this was me for so long. I totally gave away my power. And let me tell you, the best feeling in the world was when I learned to take it back, when I decided to take it back and I took the steps that are involved in taking it back. And that's really what this episode is all about, taking your power back and being the absolute ruler of your life, which is such a great feeling. It's so exciting. I love this quote from Alana Hunt, which says, "It is only when you take responsibility for your life that you discover how powerful you truly are." Yes, 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 yes. You are so powerful and you have so much more power and control than you think. And when you take it, it's a great feeling. When you take sole personal responsibility for your life, for being happier, and when you stop outsourcing your happiness, your success, your well-being, your self-care, and your emotions to other people or things, You become the ruler of your world and your power comes back to you and it feels incredible. Now, that's not to say that other people or external circumstances or things can't affect our happiness and our emotional fitness. They absolutely can. But the difference is being in control and making choices and setting boundaries that are needed to keep things on track, right? And making the choice to make changes where needed. So, for example, if someone is not treating us the right way, we don't have to take that, right? And we also don't have to keep trying to mold that person or push that person to make us happy or to do what we want them to do that we think will make us happier, right? Because that's not their responsibility to do that. And they're not necessarily going to change. So we have to change the way we think about it. And then we also have to change the way we approach it. We have to take that responsibility. And if we need to, sometimes we need to distance ourselves from that person or from a situation that is draining our energy, right? Or from things in our home or our office or whatever it is in our life that's draining us or that's affecting our happiness, right? And the same goes for when we find things or people that light us up, right? I love that saying that says, stay close to people that feel like sunshine. Yes, when somebody lights you up and makes you feel great, or when a circumstance or a hobby or a habit, makes you feel good and serves your life, we have the control and we can make the decision to invite those things into our life more, right? And that's part of being in the driver's seat. That's also part of owning your power and taking personal responsibility. So it goes both ways. Our most joyful and highest quality life begins with being willing to become the editor-in-chief of our own world. We must take full responsibility for learning the mindsets and skills required to be the very best we can at that job, right? It's about being the CEO of our life. Our happiness, our joy, our well-being, our success all depend on it. And we have to be brave. Here's the thing, being willing to fiercely fight for what we need is so brave. It's such an act of bravery. We have to make those hard choices and enforce those boundaries. And we have to be willing to occasionally step onto what feels like a battlefield, right? Because sometimes fighting for our best life feels like a battle. Creating our best life feels like a fight. And it is not easy. It really isn't easy. And, I really like to keep things real. There are some quotes and different things about happiness out there online and in the world that really sugarcoat things and make it sound like it's so easy. In my TEDx talk, I talk about that phrase of choose happiness. Well, it is not just a choice. If it were that easy, we'd all be super happy all the time, right? If all we had to do was choose it. No, it takes work. And it takes personal responsibility. And there are 3 things that tie into this topic of personal responsibility and taking back our power that I want you to know. And I'm going to cover here on the show today. And I hope that these things will get you thinking about your power and allowing the highest and best version of yourself to take responsibility for your happiness and for your life and success and your health and every other area of your life that you might have found yourself outsourcing at one time or another, right? Or blaming others or blaming external things. I've been there too. I think this is part of being human, right? That we have a tendency to do this. But when we take control of it, and we realize that ultimately we are responsible for all of it. And the rest of it is mostly just excuses, right? And excuses can really hold us back. And we do have a tendency to make a lot of excuses around our happiness in our life. And recognizing when something is really an excuse and when we're giving away our power and being able to shift that thought and change that story and take our power back is so big. So the first of these 3 things I want you to know around this is that you are your number one person on this planet. It all starts with being happy with yourself and building self-trust and having a great relationship with yourself. You are your own best friend. You are your own greatest lover, and your future self can be your greatest mentor. Nobody is coming to rescue you, and nobody else is responsible for making you happy and creating your success. This is an absolute truth, but it is life-changing when you look at it in a positive, light-filled way. And by the way, on the topic of your future self being your greatest mentor, I encourage you to go back if you haven't already listened to it and listen to the episode this season about building a relationship and connecting with your future self. That is a big part of this. And building that relationship with your future self can actually be a great guide and mentor to you in this area and in taking your power back. So this all ties in. So the place to start in taking responsibility for your happiness and all the good things in your life and being happy and successful and all the things, right, is being happy with yourself first and knowing that you are your number one and starting to put yourself first, put your relationship with yourself first, put your self-care first and your goals first. And things will really start to shift in your life rapidly. And this is when you start to take your power back. When you decide to know that you are number one in your life, that is really the first step in taking personal responsibility and taking back your power. And this can actually make us happier on day one. When you really decide to take back control, you will feel this amazing shift within you and you'll feel happier immediately. I know I did and by the way, I do this often. There's times in my life when things do start to feel out of control. And then I shift gears, just like you're driving a stick shift of a car. And I realize, okay, time to take my power back. And I get back into this mindset and it feels so great every time. You are your number one person. By the way, also, one last thing on this, you are with you for the rest of your life, right? You are the only person that you spend every single second of your life with. And that is the best reason to put yourself first and to work on that relationship. All right. The second thing I want you to know about this is that taking responsibility for your habits is key. The quality of your habits determines the quality of your life. This includes your health habits, your eating habits, your self-care habits, your work habits, and your thoughts, because thoughts are habits, right? And your mindsets are habits. Just like when I mentioned a minute ago that I'm able to catch myself when things get out of alignment and shift gears to get back in the right mindset and take my power back, right? That's a habit that I created through practice and dedication. And your habits are what create the quality of your life and determine your life experience. When you are in control of and managing your habits, which is a highly valuable skill you can learn how to do, you can change your entire life completely and the direction of it. I encourage you to take some time to really examine the habits in your life, good and bad. And by the way, I believe in this so much, and that's why this is a frequent topic on this show that we talk about habits, and it will continue to be. And the habits you should have, by the way, are also something to really include in that inventory. Take the time to examine the habits in your life, good and bad, and the habits, thinking about the habits you should have. Create a whole list and look where you can make adjustments. And do this on repeat on a semi-regular basis and really dedicate yourself. Make the decisions about what habit shifts that you want to make and dedicate yourself. With creating any new habit and with dissolving negative habits, consistency is the key. And I just want to say consistency is one of the keys to everything in life. Everything takes time and dedication. And so many people just dabble in things and they don't really commit. Oh, that is so big. So that's a whole nother little nugget to take away, is that consistency is the key. Don't just dabble in things. Don't just do things a little bit. Dedicate yourself and do it as long as it takes to get the result you want. And that definitely applies to habits. That also applies to starting a business or writing a book or whatever it is. These are long roads. They are marathons, not sprints. And consistency is the foundation of all of it. So start with a promise to yourself. that you're going to do this thing, right? Whatever the thing is, if it's a habit that you want to create, whatever the thing is that's important to you, start with a promise to yourself and then be dedicated and diligent about keeping that promise to yourself consistently until you experience the results that you're looking for. This is how successful people become successful. The great thing about this is that you also build trust with yourself. When you keep these promises, both small and large, even the tiniest promises to yourself, when you keep them, you build trust with yourself. You start to train your brain that you are a person that can be trusted. And building trust with yourself is a huge part of having a beautiful, fabulous relationship with yourself, as well as building confidence. This is a great way to build confidence in yourself because when you trust yourself and you know that you're going to show up for you, your number one person, this builds tremendous confidence in so many areas. And we go deep into all of this, by the way, and specific beneficial habits and how-tos within the Joy School membership that I've been talking about on the last couple of episodes. So if taking the driver's seat in your life and of your happiness and becoming the ruler of your world is resonating with you and what we're talking about on the show today is resonating with you, I would love to invite you to join us in this work and go deeper. And in so many other areas and spaces we're going to be working on within the Joy School membership to create our best lives. You can join thejoyschool.com for details. And also, you can download my access to my brand new video class there, 11 Habits of the Happiest People. I just recently released this, and that's a free gift when you sign up for the VIP waitlist. And the Joy School doors will be opening soon. So if it interests you to go deeper, I invite you to check that out. It's at jointhejoyschool.com. There's some goodies and information there for you. And it's no obligation just to jump on that VIP list to be the first to know when the doors open. All right. So the third thing I want you to know, and this is very important, and that is that being happy is not that easy, friends. And I mentioned this earlier, but I really want to drive this one home. It takes quite a bit of work and dedication. If it were just as easy as finding it, we would have already found it, right? That phrase, finding happiness. Oh, I hope she finds happiness. No one just finds happiness like you find a penny on the ground, right? You actually have to work at it and create it, like all good things in life. The truth is that living an overall happy life is sometimes super hard. It is a bumpy road, and sometimes it even hurts. And that doesn't mean that you're not creating a happy life when you go through a hard time or when something hurts, right? It's all part of it. We get bumps and bruises in the road to good things. And we have to have the courage because you know what? Deciding to be happier, that decision to be a happier person and create your best life, your most dynamic life, and then doing the work consistently that it takes to create that is an incredibly brave choice. Incredibly brave. And you are listening to this podcast right now, which means you've already made that incredibly brave choice. And I just wanted to take a second right now to recognize you for that. And I want you to take a minute right now to give yourself the credit for that, because it's pretty awesome when you think about it, right? Not everybody is willing to take personal responsibility and make the choice to create the life they envision. And you are already taking steps to do that. Give yourself credit for that because you so deserve it. And as I mentioned, some of you have already jumped on the wait list for my new Joy School membership that's coming up. Seriously, I am so excited for that. You are absolutely brave, make it happen kind of people. You are my people. And I love doing this show for you. I hope that everything we're talking about here is sparking some ideas, sparking some change, sparking the desire to take your power back in some areas. And I'm just really excited for all that's coming up. So another thing I want to mention here is that I don't sugarcoat. And honestly, I think that's why I've been able to help so many people create real meaningful change. There's enough fluff and BS out there about how to be happier now, how to be happier tomorrow, and it's really easy, and here's how to be successful. It only takes this one tip. No, we actually have to sift through a lot of fluff to find what really works. And this is what I'm so passionate and dedicated to doing. I sift through, I read the scientific studies, I do the research, I do tests, right? Like a test kitchen in a lab, right? I actually test happiness strategies and mindset strategies and well-being strategies. And I see what actually works, what is science-backed, what's effective, what habits actually support our life. And then I share it all, and it makes things so much easier for everybody in my world that I share these things, and I've done the work for you, right? I've done it for you. And that's my passion, is to do all this for you and save you time and money and energy and help you fast track to the life that you want. And that's really what the work I do and what this show is all about. And that is what I'm building the Joy School membership on. And I'm just so grateful that you're here and that you invite me into your world for a few minutes each week to share with you. There are effective science-backed practices, mindsets, and frameworks that really do work. And I'm so passionate about sharing them far and wide. That's what this is all about. So I'm so happy to be connected. Living a happy, dynamic life is actually a skill. It's a multifaceted skill made up of a lot of small habits and skills. And I love teaching all the bits and pieces of it so much. And it does take work. It is not easy, but the work can sometimes actually be fun, right? Some of this stuff's actually fun, or the feelings that you get from doing it can be fun, right? So I'm telling you all, my friends, that personal responsibility, doing the work, and the power that comes with all of it is an amazing feeling, and one that helps me to be excited about life every single day. And I hope you're feeling excited too. All right. I want to wrap up this topic with a great quote from the legendary mentor, Wayne Dyer. And he said, "You are not stuck where you are unless you decide to be." I love that. We decide to be where we are, right? So decide to be where you want to be. Decide to take the reins of your life, to own your power and take responsibility. This is where massive change, massive positive shifts begin. Okay, so now it's time for the Joy School habits. This is one small habit that can produce big results. All right, somebody's just walking into the room right now while I'm talking. That's what that bell is. Those of you who listen to all the episodes know what that bell is. That's my dog Mai Tai's bell. When she wants to go out, she rings it. But then anytime someone comes through the door, it rings also. But it kind of makes me happy. So on rare occasions, you'll hear that little bell in the background of the show. And think of it as just a reminder that a happy little dog exists in the world, millions of happy little dogs that know how to ring bells. I find that to be a happy thought. All right. So our Joy School habit for today is to be kinder to your joints. And this really starts with being more mindful of how you're treating your joints. And this has nothing to do with age. I think about when I was much younger, in my teens, 20s, even 30s, I was hard on my joints, right? I mean, I would bend my elbows and arms in places that they shouldn't be bending, and being really hard on my knees, my back, my fingers, cracking my knuckles. Oh my gosh, that was the worst habit when I was younger. I used to drive my mom crazy with that. But all of that has a compound effect on your health as you do get older. And, as I have gotten a little bit older, I do not think of myself as, quote, older, but I'm older than I used to be, right? Aren't we all? But as I'm moving through life, I'm noticing some of the effects of being harder on my joints when I was younger. And so I'm taking time in my life right now to correct it. And it starts with mindset and really being hyper aware and paying attention to how you are treating your joints, right? So it starts with posture is a good place to start. How are you holding your neck? So the nurse at my chiropractic office recently was telling me that when you lean your head over a computer and slouch, so your head weighs roughly 10 pounds, right? A human head weighs roughly 10 pounds. When you slouch over, it puts like 30 to 40 more pounds of weight on your shoulders and your upper back. And this came from a nurse who told me this. That blew my mind. So think about if you're slouching all day or often, you're putting like 30 to 40 more pounds of weight on your upper back and shoulders and your neck. Now, what's that going to do over time, right? You might not notice the problems now, but they're going to come up later, and they have been coming up for me. So posture is one of the areas that I'm really working on. I'm also working on being easier on my knees, easier on my feet and my toes, the joints in my toes, right? Think about your feet, and let's just have a moment of gratitude for our feet. Think of the thousands of miles that they have carried us through in our life, right? And the fact that they are hopefully still working and still in pretty good condition, because we shouldn't take that for granted. There are those people that have real problems with their feet, right? And if that's you, I want to send you love and lots of healing thoughts, right? Because that is not fun. And so think about the gratitude you have for your joints, for your knees, for your arms, your fingers, your elbows, and just sit in that gratitude for a minute, and then create the small Joy School habit of being kinder to your joints. And it all starts with a mindset. So let's all start thinking about that today, setting our sights on that. Think about it when you're going up and down stairs. Think about it when you're doing exercise. Think about adding habits to your world that might support this, like doing some yoga or morning stretches, which I've talked about on the show before. This over time can make a massive difference. When I see these 90-year-old fabulous men and women on Instagram doing these incredible yoga poses and Tai Chi, I'm like mind blown. And I'm like, I want to be that when I'm 90, if I'm lucky enough to get there, right? So let's just be thinking about this. This is our Joy School habit for today. And I hope that sparks some inspiration to be kinder to your joints. All right, my friends, if you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you would leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. This is how you can help the show reach more people who might also enjoy and benefit from it. And I read them all. Thank you so much to everyone who's left a review. Thank you to all of you who have left me comments on social media or sent me notes online about the show and told me how you've changed things in your life because of it. That makes my heart incredibly happy, and it means the world to me. So be sure to connect with me on social media if you haven't already. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook, and I just recently joined Threads, which is Instagram's version of Twitter, and I'm enjoying myself over there, so find me if you'd like. And you can visit my brand new, gorgeous website, KristiLingSpencer.com. They did such a great job designing this. I'm so grateful to my team. And there you can download some free gifts, access some articles on lots of helpful topics, and find other supportive resources I've got for you there. I'm sending you so much love. And until next time, remember, you've got what it takes to create more amazing days. And more amazing days make up a pretty amazing life. Have a fantastic week, my beautiful friends, and I will see you soon. Cheers.